My name is Dr. Edith Eger. People call me Dr. Edie. I was born in 1927. It's September 29th, so it's kind of end of the year.
And I have taken it in my life's work to help Edie's story to make it into the far reaches of this planet and into the moments where we need that word of advice, that word of wisdom the most.
You asked me what I talked about. I don't know. Just comes out what comes out.
Yeah.
Probably something 97 years. I've done a lot in life. So that's what's going to come out.
My name is Jordan Engel. I am the grandson of Dr. Eger. She is a Holocaust survivor. She is a best-selling author. She is a psychologist. She is a mother. And she is a great-great-grandmother of 7 boys, as she will tell you. Yeah, Dylan and Noah. Yeah.
Noah, yes.
Noah and Dylan.
Yeah.
Beautiful boys.
Yeah. Because you survived.
Because you survive, yes.
3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandsons. That is really a wonderful achievement that I'm so glad. But that's why it's important for me to talk while I'm still here at 97. So my great-grandchildren would have that book on their living room table. That's going to be wonderful for me to smile.
This is Ha, and this is his lovely wife, Vivian. One of their favorite people on the planet is you.
It's a beautiful way to get older and wiser. When you come here, I'll make you Venus Schnitzel. Promise.
She is best known for what she has accomplished in her life, which is authoring 3 fantastic books, 2 of which are New York Times bestsellers, The Choice and The Gift.
Acknowledge what you're doing now, whether it's working for you or not. The choice to know that you have other options, to be able to stretch your comfort zone and to be able to look at the same thing but from a different perspective. Stop complaining, or if you really have the need to hear you saying the things that you really mean it, just give yourself permission. Maybe 20 minutes would be the maximum.
She is a gift to humanity. What her fame is based on is that she has learned to take the worst things that can happen to you in your life and turn them into a gift.
Not to be smart, to be wise. It's good to share silence. I think married couple can do a beautiful job just sharing silence. We would go ice skating every day, every night.
In Kasha?
In Košice, in Kasha.
In the winter.
My city was under Hungarian rules, Turkish rules. Many Hungarians speak for several languages. I used to have French and German under my belt, but don't ask me now. English is good enough everywhere, all over the world. It's wonderful.
Your life in one sentence. From Auschwitz to La Jolla, the journey of a lifetime.
Beautiful.
Edie had 2 sisters, and both of her sisters were very talented.
Yeah, very talented. The oldest one on piano.
The middle one is a child prodigy who played the Mendelssohn violin concerto when she was just, I don't know, maybe a 7, 8-year-old kid. And my aunt wanted her to come to America, but my mother wouldn't let her go. So she ended up in Budapest, and I revisited those places where she was, and Magda became a brilliant bridge player, and she played bridge with
Omar Sharif.
yes.
Edie had these two sisters that were larger than life, and she was the youngest in her family, and they wanted a boy. Her dad wanted a boy, it was clear, and the mother probably did too, and instead they got this little girl, Ditsu. That was her nickname. And you had to find out where you fit in. And probably one of the things you discovered in that phase of your life was how comfortable you were to be alone, because you had to be comfortable with yourself, because the two of them were out there in the world being larger than life. What does your life feel like as a 10-year-old girl?
The most curious one. Want to know everything about everything. I could drive you nutty with my questioning more and more and more a time to speak to each other. I think the worst thing for me is also the best thing for me, because I like to be alone. I enjoy being alone. Many creative things come out to me when I'm totally alone 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
But I'm too lazy to get up and write it all, so.
You have to remember it in the morning.
I think I will remember. I say to myself.
How old did you begin when you began dancing? 10? 8? Around then. But then you discovered dance, and you figured out what your passion was. And instead of just watching these other two women, it became your story. And that story of dance carried you through the rest of your life. And you still are a dancer. You were on the path to go to the Olympics.
Well, that's what my trainer told me. And I was, of course, I couldn't believe it that I could be even qualified. But I practiced probably 4 or 5 hours a day minimum. I even danced to go to school, and I was creating songs in my mind. Yeah, so to go to school with me, you get entertainment. I think while we're walking.
How did it make you feel, Edie, when you were told by your instructor that you couldn't dance for your country, you couldn't go to the Olympics?
I started to lie. I know who comes up with such things. I was lying.
And how did
because I wanted to go so badly. That was my dream.
Mm.
That door was closed for me.
When you found out that not only were you not able to compete, but that you were going to be a prisoner and that you were in a place far worse than anything you had experienced.
Auschwitz, yeah.
After you had lost everything that you thought you had, you were in Auschwitz, you're with your sister, but everything else is gone. What are you saying to yourself?
I'm here. I live.
You had a reason. You had a handful of reasons.
The mission is to let people know what can happen.
Something inside you that never believed you wouldn't survive.
Absolutely, that it's temporary.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. It's inconvenient. And I will take a longer time that I probably would wish for. But there was no question in my mind that I have to tell people what happens when good people do bad things, very bad things. To be able to give of me, the part in me that has a great deal of suffering that has been turned into an asset that I'm able to build upon. How I was able to walk out of Auschwitz. Sometimes I don't go back to sleep when I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm giving myself questions. How did you walk out? And I did, thank God. But Magda was always hungry. So whatever food we got, she gobbled it up. And I ate that soup, which was warm water, whatever it was.
Barely soup.
Very bad. So we didn't go there to do anything but work, and then we would be taken to the gas chamber. Well, here I am, 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandsons. And 2 of those beautiful boys talk to each other that you created.
These are my kids.
I know. I saw one of them. Dylan, right?
Dylan and Noah. Yeah. What did you do to help yourself to survive?
To stay in the present and speak what I can change today. Because the past is gone and the future is not yet. So you can change, because change is synonymous with growth.
You had no food. You had nobody was from the outside was telling you were going to survive. The only voices that you heard were from guards who said the only way you're coming out of here is as a corpse. But you kept in your mind a story that you would survive. And that story was so strong and so powerful inside you that it kept you alive.
It's just temporary, and I can make it. It's not gonna be easy, don't bother it. Don't make it better than what it is. But in your mind, put it in a way that you know that you're gonna make it. You're gonna come home alive. And thank God. Every moment is precious to me. We don't seem to appreciate sometimes what we have until we lose it.
We don't appreciate what we have until we lose it. Dance for Mengele happened the day that she arrived in Auschwitz. She arrives in Auschwitz. She has the terrible moment where she goes one way and her mother goes another way. She goes to the barracks and discovers that the direction her mother went in meant death. Her and her sister had their heads shaved. And then they went to a barrack to begin what would become almost 8 months in Auschwitz. And that night, in comes Dr. Mengele, who she had met earlier, and he asks, "Who here can entertain me?" And the girls that knew Edie pushed her forward and said, "She's an amazing dancer. She can do it." And Edie, who had been through the most traumatic day of her life, was then forced to dance for the man who had earlier that day sent her mother to the gas chamber. And in that performance, she knew that if she didn't dance with everything in her body, very likely she would end up the same place as her mother. And you reached into your soul and saw not where you were. She was not dancing for a group of starving Jews in a barrack in Auschwitz. You transported yourself to the Budapest Opera House.
Wow.
And she was dancing the Romeo and Juliet to a beautifully dressed audience. And then in her mind, she was able to distance herself from the terror of where she was and become the most beautiful, elegant dancer who, as she says, you did the splits and the high kick, and you danced like your life depended on it, because in that moment, it did.
When I work, many times I do the high kick with the audience, and we all do the high kick and see how far we go with our leg. The right will be different than the left, and it depends on the person. So I don't know where you are and the people that you work with, but when you move your body, your whole body temperature and the mind is really reacting differently. Then you have the dependency of somebody making you happy or something make you happy. You make yourself happy. Even if you don't get the food that you deserve, even life is not as fair as it could be or should be.
Did your mom teach you to cook, or did you learn by watching?
She told me that anybody can do the cooking, you go to school. She was not encouraging me to stay in the kitchen. I tell you, she just wanted me to get as much schooling as possible get a doctorate. And I was in my 40s. My supervisor told me to go get a doctorate. And I said to him, by the time I get a doctorate, I'm going in my 50s. And he said, you'll be 50 anyway. And that was the best answer you could give. Don't try to be more than what you are or less than what you are. There is a part of me that I'm helping other people to get rid of, to be a perfectionist, that everything has to be just right. It's okay to make a C. It's okay to flunk another language that you're really just not into languages.
Edie, between surviving Auschwitz and writing The Choice was about 75 years. And Ha wants to know, why did it take you so long to write this brilliant memoir?
I never had enough faith in me that I can have anything readable. Self-love is really self-help. It's not narcissistic. I hope people will take that away from this conversation. You have your good, caring, loving mom in you, and you have Hitler in you as well.
How did it feel for you, Edie, when your book became an international best-selling book? How did that feel?
I want to cry. I met Mother Teresa. Did anyone get a hug from Mother Teresa? And she was sitting, and I came and she got up. We had this little eye contact between us. I didn't really look back whether she did it with other people as well, but all I can tell you that I kept that precious woman's hands holding me even now. And that happened a long time ago. I think it was in the 80s.
Edie, are you saying in one moment you can meet somebody and it can change your whole life?
It can, yes. And listen to that voice. It's probably the best thing you do.
Please give us some wisdom how we find some joy.
How do you find joy when life doesn't feel joyful?
I see to myself it's temporary and I can survive it, and reach for something that you can do today. And what you think is you can change. If you change your thinking, you can change your life. I guarantee you, because I've done it. I never say what I didn't do.
If you change your thinking,
you change your life. You can, but you have to want to. Willing is a beautiful word. You have to be willing to be willing, to accept the fact that you're not a J.C. Penney's when you go to Neiman Marcus, and you may get the same thing for less than, but you go to Neiman Marcus because of the name and the quality. I don't know where it is. I think it's very important to, if you want something, to ask for 20% discount, or put it away for me for 6 months, or something that may be useful for both of us.
I think what you're getting at, Edie, is don't be afraid to ask for what you want.
For sure.
If you're waiting to get it to be given to you, it might never happen, right? But if you ask for it, at least you're taking
exactly I know people try on things, women do. Do you like it? Do you like it? Who cares? If you like it, buy it. Because if you are told, yeah, it's nice, and why don't you buy it? And you buy it, but you really didn't want it. And you didn't need it either. So be careful with opinions. We are all good people. Sometimes we do things that is not so good. I think forgiveness is really letting go of something that may be poisoning your body. Maybe if you're smoking and drinking or anything that you do in excess. I think it's a wonderful day today to make a decision. School is beginning, and your school hopefully will also begin when you respect yourself enough that you would not touch anything that may become an addiction.
You say something that I think about very much in my life, which is, are you in the driver's seat of your life, or are you a passenger?
Yeah.
And the driver rolls down the window and asks for directions because he's in charge of the car that has his kids and his mother and his grandmother and everybody in the back. So if he's driving around and doesn't know where he's going,
Yeah.
have the chutzpah to ask for directions so you get where you want to go. And sometimes I think men, we are so
Proud.
so confident that in fact we don't ask for help. And that is not a sign of strength. It actually can be a sign of weakness, because you're getting in your way to be the best version of yourself, the best leader you can be, the best honest, come to terms with what I can and cannot do version of yourself. And I credit you for that, because I didn't used to ask for directions, and now I will. How does one become willing to change?
Pain. Your body talks to you. Listen to your body. Don't take a pill. Change your thinking. You can change your life.
That's good.
That's it.
That's good. Got to listen to your body.
So instead of the front door, you may try the side window. I don't know. Just make it up. But
Try something different.
just different, not better or worse.
Don't keep doing the same thing and expect something different to happen.
So with me, you revisit the places where you've been, you relive the experience, you
Revise your life.
you revisit the places, and then you relive the experience that you had, and then revise your life.
And that's the journey, right? That's the journey.
Very actual, three things. The number 3 is always very important.
Well, you were the third daughter, so
I am the third daughter who was supposed to be a boy.
Edie, do you have any advice for us about intimacy? How to create greater intimacy in a partnership?
I was told to say, into me see is intimacy. Into me see. Those 3 words. That you see your inside.
We just created a book called The Ballerina of Auschwitz, which is to talk to young adults. We have online courses that we've created together, and we're about to have our first live event in San Diego. So do you have a message you would like to share with everyone who is going to come to see our event?
I hope you bring all your questions and write them down, and so see to it that if you really want to talk, bring it to the attention to someone who hopefully will be kind enough to let you know that there'll be a room for you. Not a minute less or not a minute more.
It's that same thing we were saying earlier, right, Edie? That if you don't ask for it, it doesn't happen. And
I should have, I could have, that's...
Yeah, what do you have in your heart? What is the question that you're grappling with? And even if it might not be directly answered, by writing down before you go to an event like that what you want to accomplish, what you're hoping to learn, you're much more likely to learn it. Versus if you just come open. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'd love your advice, Edie, to have your question. How do I learn to accept my sister? How do I fall in love with my wife again? How do I learn to apologize to my child for the childhood I didn't give them? Whatever the thing is, to know that that's the question you hope to have answered, you're very likely to find an answer. And that's a big question for somebody to answer for themselves.
Many times we say two words, yes, but. You're such a pretty girl, but you're a little fat, but you have pimples. Change the but to an and. Yes, and. No more yes, but. Then you cancel what you said before the but.
What advice does this version of Edie,
yes,
the one right here, the beautiful Escada wearing elegant luminary that you are now, what advice would you give to your 10-year-old self?
We are creatures of habit, and we always go back to the familiar. But if it's not working anymore, how we can really find choices that we can try again? It's very hard to change. People are very, very much sticking to the familiar because change gives you the fear of the unknown. But if you don't change, you don't grow.
Write it down, and once a week you look at your comments and have a conversation every week. Don't wait a month. By the time, it's forgotten.
Have the conversation.
Have a conversation and ask for what you want, no matter what it is. Doesn't mean you're gonna get it, but just get it out of your system and say, I am not asking for answer now, but I don't like to say I'm not this, I'm not that. I want to say, yes, I am, yes, I want, yes, I would like. We're moving ahead because times are changing and we are changing with the times.
The reason I'm committing my life, at least at this point, to her story and to this message, is that I see that it has a profound impact on humanity. And we get so many messages from her social media, from people sending letters, from people who've read her books. And the common thread that I see is that people who connect to Edie's story make a choice to stop feeling like a victim of their circumstance and take ownership of their life. And that act of taking ownership despite what has happened and despite the challenges and the difficult things which one has experienced, they can still take over their life and sit in the driver's seat and create for themselves a life that is full of meaning and joy and passion. And I hope to give that message to the world, because so many of us have gone through something very terrible, or have gone through something not very terrible at all. But we make a choice about what kind of life we want to live. And I see the value and the impact of living in our strength, living with purpose, and living with a guiding principle of being there to help others. And I see that it has impacted Edie, it impacts me, and it has impacted so many of the people who have read Edie's books and heard her speak. And I don't think it's unique to Edie. I think this is a theme that can be spoken about by so many humans who have gone through this journey. And bringing those stories to light is part of what I believe is the job of humanity.
Wow.
And that's my passion. Not just to tell Edie's story, though Edie's story is a beautiful story and deserves to be told, but to find the future stories of those who are going through their own challenges, from big ones to little ones, and have figured out how to take that story and turn it into a gift to share with humanity and with themselves.
Wow. Wow. Please do us a huge favor. Please turn to Edith and give her a hug and a kiss for us and for so many people around the world not to be able to do it.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, dear Edie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank both of you for a wonderful interview, giving us a lot of space, and being here and holding space with your beautiful energy, both of you. It takes a lot of commitment to do this work, to find me, to find Edie, to make it happen, and that commitment shows a lot of character. So it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm sure we'll meet in person. I have a very good feeling for that. So thank you both.
Thank you very much.
It was a wonderful interview.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's
Okay.
Jacob.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.